Good afternoon, everyone. We are so excited that you are with us for Mission Monday, a day of giving. Our goal is to raise $55,000 for the school. Thank you for being a part of this. I was blessed to be a student back in the 70s. I love the fact that this is Throwback Day, where we're going to take a look at the past and in relationship to International Bible College and now Heritage Christian University. We're going to have some interviews with different people. You've seen a little bit thus far. And so I hope that you will do all that you can to assist us. We only exist because of those who lovingly, compassionately give their money to the school and have for all these years. And they do that because their great love for the Lord and for the lost. We exist because we want to train students to enable them to be able to preach and teach and communicate the gospel to this lost world, for them to have a quality education in doing so. So I hope that you will enjoy the day. We're going to have live updates as we go along during the time, and I hope that you will see how important it is for us to do what we're doing. In fact, at the moment, our update is $11,825 that we've raised thus far. We need you to help us get to that $55,000 mark. And the $55,000 mark is representative of the 55 years Heritage Christian has been in existence. So we're going to raise $1,000 for every $55,000. If you can look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the different ways that you can give. It is not too late for you to share this link or to make a call or to send an email to others. In fact, I encourage you to do that. And please keep in mind the fact that there is no gift too small or too great that you can give. If it's $25, $50, $100, or $1,000, that will all help us to get to our goal. I was only able to be a student here because of the giving and donations and love of other people. And our students that are here, that's how they are here today. And the reason we exist is because about 109 people die every minute, and they need Christ in their lives. And you're helping us to achieve that, to give our students the kind of education that they need. And I hope you'll just enjoy the day with us. We're going to be giving live updates as the day goes along. You can probably see the schedule that's provided. I hope that you will watch as much as you can and have already been with us online for our other activities previously, beginning with Dr. Brothers. And so please keep in mind that there's so much that you can do. It may not seem like a lot to you, but it's wonderful to us, wonderful to our students. We have men and women who are so committed to the church and their mission of saving the lost, and we want to help them in every way that we can to accomplish that task. So please keep it in mind. Pray for what we're doing today. Pray for what we're doing today. Any good thing that we do deserves our interest in praying to God for our success. If it's worthy, we'll pray about it, and we ask for your prayers. One other way that we can give and meet that $55,000 is if you would like one of these mugs, either from Heritage Christian or IBC, you can contribute $25 and you will get that one mug. If you contribute $35, you get the second. So, hey, you get a bargain from there, and we will mail it to you, do whatever it takes. But thank you again for all that you do for us. I appreciate you so very much. Now, at this time, Brother Travis Harmon is going to interview one of our former students and alum, Dwayne Tapscott, and they'll tell you more about what Dwayne does, but he's one of our staff members here doing a wonderful job. But thank you very much, and have a great day, and we'll keep you updated.
Hello, I am Travis Harmon, and I'm a vice president here at Heritage Christian University, vice president of student affairs or student services. I'm so glad that you've joined us and that you're watching. And I would ask that you hit that share button and share it on your feed so that other people will be able to watch. And it is a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day outside, and it's a beautiful day here at Heritage Christian University. And we're super excited about Giving Day this year. I'm with a great buddy of mine, Dwayne Tapscott. A couple years ago, I heard Dwayne speak, and I thought to myself, we've got to get Dwayne here to work for us at the school. Such a great guy. He spoke for us in chapel today, and I would encourage you to go back and watch that. Did an excellent job speaking in chapel. And Dwayne and I, we kind of graduated together, too. I graduated in 1998 from what was then International Bible College, and that was the same year that Dwayne graduated. So super great to have Dwayne with us, working with us, and to have graduated with him. And he's done a great work in ministry. I hope we get time to talk about that, but he works with several different congregations, and he's just done an outstanding job in ministry. And Dwayne, one of the things I think as we think about Heritage Christian University and back in our days of IBC, what brought you to International Bible College in the first place? I mean, what was your thought process that got you to come to when we graduated, or now it's Heritage Christian University, but today, as we think back and forth, those of us who were here, we're going to say IBC a lot. So what was your thought process, and what was it that brought you to International Bible College?
Well, Travis, that was a great question. Back in 1995, I actually started into the ministry, and I was at one particular congregation. I asked the preacher if he would train me in the ministry, and he said, "Sure, just come on back and watch how I do it." So I went back that night, and he 5 minutes before service, I asked him what he was going to preach on, and he says, "I don't know. I just normally open my Bible, and wherever it fall, that's where I preach from." And so, and as I listened at him preach, it wasn't right. It was also, I went to another congregation under my minister then, and I asked him would he train me in the ministry. And he said, "I'd be glad to train you. I'd show you the church administrative side, but you really need to go to International Bible College so that they could give you the theologian side." And so I started in 96. I was already a graduate from Athens State, and I came and I worked year-round and graduated in 98 with you. So it was good time. It was the best decision that I've ever made in my life, being here at IBC.
Well, just in ministry in general, I mean, I love that story. That's a great story. But just ministry in general, what was it that, I don't know, I think a lot of people talk about a calling, but what was it that made you want to make ministry your vocation?
The vocation side of it was, I guess I witnessed other guys. I saw other guys that made it their lifelong goal. They made it a career out of it. They made a living out of it. And I noticed that if they did it correctly, then I wanted to do it correctly. Even though, we have many guys that do it by vocational, I still wanted to learn to do it the right way so that I can teach other men how to do it the right way.
Well, one of our taglines that we've used for years is real-world ministry. One of the things, you might want to talk about what that means to you, but how do you feel like IBC prepared you for real-world ministry?
I really love the critical thinking courses that we had. The real-world ministry, it allowed me to be able to go in because I learned some things. I learned how to talk with the mayor. I'm able to, the mayor texts me of my city. The mayor calls me. The chief fire department, they call me from time to time. The police chief calls. So IBC prepared me for the real-world ministry. Now you have these local leaders that are looking for good Christian men that will help pave the way for the city. So IBC really groomed me for that.
Can you share, in your time here, it seems like a lot of times when we talk about favorite ministry or favorite memory from our time at Heritage, the alum, it seems like there's always some special memory that you have. Could you share a special memory from a time that you were here at IBC?
Sure, I have several memories. I really love the campaigns that we used to have. You was part of those campaigns back in the day. We would normally shut the school down for a week. They would send us to various states to work with local congregations that were struggling. We would knock on doors. I remember baptizing many of the guys that we met. Remember we was helping the local congregations, and I learned from them. They learned from us. One thing that I liked being here is it was truly international Bible college. We had so many different young men, young women that was here from different continents that we were able to learn from each other. So for me, I just loved the campaigns. I loved all of the teachers, and I still use those experiences to this day.
Yeah, I think that's true for me too. As we think about trying to do the work of an evangelist or trying to do the work of a minister, those campaigns, they were essential to the formation of my ministry experience, and those experiences are things that you take into your next work. And so that training, I think, was incredibly valuable. Dwayne, just kind of in your own words, as we're thinking about Giving Day, why do you think, what's the benefit of somebody who donates to Heritage Christian University? I mean, why should somebody give to HCU?
Well, I think when it comes down to it, the churches should be equipped with adequate leaders. That's when I think about why give. I'm reminded when I first came here, if it wasn't for the churches, the local congregation that supported me, I would not have gotten the proper education. I would not have learn how to rightly divide the word. So it's important to give. So when you give, you're able to help somebody else get the proper training.
Yeah, those early educational experiences, they're just foundational. And as you think about your degree from IBC, how do you use that today in your current ministry?
It has helped me get into local school systems. It has helped me get into the coaching system. It has helped me to get in various other avenues that, had I not come through here, I probably not would have gotten into those avenues. So it has really helped me tremendously, and I share with young men, young women that I think all of us need a good Christian foundation education. So it has helped.
Well, I appreciate Dwayne not only being here with us today and letting us interview him and talk a little bit about the school and about the good old days, but also appreciate the work that he does with Heritage. He's currently an admissions counselor with us, and I guess if anybody is interested in becoming a student, they can give you a call. Yes. You want to give them your contact information?
Area code 256-227-4114. Once again, area code 256-227-4114. Or you can email me at dtapscott@hcu.edu.
Thanks so much, Dwayne. Appreciate it. I look forward to, I hope that somebody contacts you and that they want to follow in those footsteps and have this experience. Thank you so much, and appreciate you, Dwayne.
Hi, Sonny. How are you?
Doing good. Thank you.
We have Sonny Owens today, who is one of our 1988 graduates of International Bible College. I've been blessed to know Sonny for these last few years, and we're thankful for how committed he is to his work and to his education, and also to what he does now for the Lord. And Sonny, I've heard you tell me the story about what brought you to IBC in the first place and why you stayed there when you could have had other options. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your wife, your family, anything you want to tell us.
My wife and I have been married for 52 years, going on the rest of our life. We were not Christians when we got married. Someone taught us the gospel. We believed it and obeyed the gospel, and began serving in a local congregation. I worked at Ford Motor Company. When I had 10 years with Ford Motor Company closed down, and we were trying to decide what we wanted to do. I had started doing a little bit of fill-in work. I'd preached a few sermons. I guess I thought I was a preacher and preached a few sermons. I worked with a lot of great Christian men, and they began to invite me to come where they went to church and preach. And and enjoyed that tremendously, and that helped get us started. And coming to IBC, we lived 4 miles west, a straight shot west from the building here at International Bible College. And got to meet folks from here, started going to the evangelism workshops. That was tremendous back in the 70s, mid-70s to late 70s especially. 1977, we became Christians, I said, 1975. 1977, I audited 2 classes. A personal evangelism class that just set us on fire, and a New Testament survey class. And that started our Christian growth. Ford Motor Company told us when we were laid off permanently that within 2 to 4 years they would call us and have opportunities to go elsewhere with Ford. And so we decided that we would come to school as long as we could. And when Ford called us, we would go with Ford, and wherever we would go, we hoped we could preach and work at Ford. Our first semester here, our very first semester, it was in February. We started in January of '83. It was in February Ford called me. It wasn't 2 to 4 years. And we didn't know what to do. And so I called a dear friend and said, hey, I don't know what to do. And this friend's exact words, pray about it and go to sleep and get up in the morning and make your mind up. We were enjoying International Bible College, and we woke up that next day and said, hey, we're going to go to school. Thinking 2 to 4 years again. In April, they called us again. We could have went to, they called us to go to Kansas City, Kansas. And we said, no, we know what we want to do. We truly felt through Scripture, what Scripture teaches, that we were called to ministry. And we've enjoyed it. It took me 5 years to get out of here, but we've enjoyed it.
And Sonny, since Sonny, you retired, so to speak, how long? Several months ago now.
2.5 years ago now.
And you've been preaching every Sunday and teaching a class just about every Wednesday night. So ministers never really retire, do they?
No. I didn't retire until I was 69. At Ford, I could have retired at 52. But I retired at 69. And again, I prayed and I asked God to open some doors.
I know you've had a lot of memorable moments at IBC, like all of us have, but can you think of 1 or 2 things that stand out in your mind?
The first evangelism workshop I went to. Growing up, didn't go to church. We'd only been Christians since 75 to 83. We were young Christians, and I'd never in my life heard preaching like that. And that was memorable, but the classes, of course, but the campaigns and chapel every day was one of my greatest growth moments. And that's what IBC did for us. They set a fire under us. IBC didn't give us the desire to do what we did because we come here with a desire. But boy, they gave us the tools.
Can you tell me why other people should consider coming to Heritage Christian?
It'll help you grow in Christ. They'll teach you to teach other people about Jesus. They will give you every opportunity you need to not just expand your education, but to really know about real world missions and to go out, to want to go out. And it's a desire that, of course, God puts it in us, but IBC brings it out of you to spend the rest of your life in ministry. It's just the best there is.
Today is Mission Monday, and we have designated this day to raise the $55,000. But as most people know, that our needs go way beyond that. Have you thought about how, dating back to the IBC days, how important donors were and churches were to the school, and how that continues to be?
You know, my wife and I were a lot more fortunate than young guys coming here. I had did plant work for 12 years. We'd already bought a house. I was laid off, and Ford Motor Company was paying me just like I was working for a year. So when we came here, we didn't have the struggles of money that young students have. But we saw quickly how important the donors, the generous donors, were for other students. We were fortunate. God blessed us, and we thank Him for it. But it helps younger students. It helps married students that didn't have the start that we had to get started in ministry. In fact, they can't really do it without the generosity of donors. Christian education is expensive. It just is. All education, but Christian education is expensive, and it won't happen without good Christian donors, generous donors. It won't happen.
You're right. You're absolutely right. It is the life's blood of the school.
Absolutely.
And I couldn't begin to even know what the total has been through all these years of people that have sacrificed to give to the school. And because it's money they could use in a lot of other places to do a lot of other things, but they've chosen to entrust us with that money. Now, let me ask you, how do you think that in relationship to that how important that is, as you said, to other students? But do you have any suggestions or anything that you could say to everyone out there as far as, the kind of attitude towards giving they should have, or how important it is if they're not donors yet, how it makes them feel? And because you've donated to the church, to the school here, and how special that moment is.
Well, as Christians, God calls us to give. We understand that. We know in the assembly we're to give as we've prospered.
All right.
But He calls us to give in all of our life as we've prospered. And, we've prospered pretty well. Folks in America have prospered generally pretty well. And it's the greatest giving you can do. For Christian education, again, Christian education cannot happen without Christian donors.
Exactly. You're exactly right. Could you imagine, and I don't want to imagine this, but think of where so many people would be or not be today if it were not for those donors and not for the school, if the school never existed. And someone might say, well, someone else would have, or something else would have filled that void. I don't believe that's correct. I think that we have created an opportunity in and of itself because of we're a single focused school only offering Bible degrees. And while we need a lot of other schools out there that are offering other degrees in other areas for Christians to be a part of and to take their learning and education of the Bible into those avenues. But our focus is on preachers and teachers and men and women who want to go into the mission field. Can you tell me just one or two of the, I know our time's slipping away, but maybe one or two of the missionaries that you can think of? I know there have been a lot, but maybe some that have come to your name. You knew and know a lot of people, although I came before you, you know so many of them because you have been here in this area, located the entire time.
International Bible College at the chapels opened mission work to me. I've never done mission work. I've never gone overseas. But I have met so many great missionaries. One fellow, I can't even remember his first name. His last name was Keys. He spoke in chapel. He did work many years in Africa. And he opened my eyes and my heart that this school takes people all over the world. Heaven will be well populated for people that students, staff everybody here at IBC, HCU, it'll be well populated because of this school.
I tell people where I go that there will be people in heaven that, because of the donors that donated from the very beginning
Absolutely.
until the present day, they all have a part of that. And we'll have an eternity to work that out, to figure out, how that went. So,
Absolutely.
But, Sonny, thank you for what you do for the church, you and your wife. And thank you for what you mean to this school. You'll never know how blessed we are because you have been a student here, and you have been one of the biggest supporters of the school. You've been involved in the Student Government Association, so many other areas. So please know that we appreciate everything you do. Now, as being the Vice President of University Relations, I have the opportunity to travel to a different church almost every weekend, sometimes two. And many of the alumni will tell me, that they ask me about certain professors. And they'll say, my favorite professor, and I can't tell you how many times, was Bill Bajents.
Yes.
And they're constantly telling me that. Well, Bill is about to be interviewed by Travis Harmon, and so we'll enjoy that and look forward to that.
Yes.
But again, thank you for being here with us, and thank you for being a part of what we're doing today.
Thank you so much, and thank you for allowing me to be here.
Thank you.
Yes,
God
sir.
bless you both.
Yes, sir. God bless.
Well, I am here with Dr. Bill Bajents, and we're on the beautiful 57-acre campus of Heritage Christian University here in the Franklin Auditorium. And Dr. Bajents is, in a lot of ways, a kindred spirit. Dr. Bajents has, like me, he's held a lot of different positions here. He has been a person who truly loves and has been a great blessing to International Bible College and Heritage Christian University. Dr. Bajents, what brought you to this role that you wanted to work at Heritage Christian University, and what brought you to this decision in your life that you wanted to teach?
We moved to this area in '82, and shortly thereafter began doing adjunct courses with International Bible College, and we love the atmosphere, love the people, the leadership, the students, the mission. And when the church we were with wanted to make a change, opportunity was extended to us to consider teaching full-time with International Bible College in that day. And we prayed about it a bit, and two kids in high school, neither of which really wanted to make a move, being close to graduation. And the Lord just made too many open doors for us not to be here. And it's been great for us, from the world mission experience to the writing, to the teaching, to the learning about administration. It's just been blessing top to bottom.
Well, and it has been a blessing to our students as well, because every time we do surveys, Dr. Bajents is listed as one of the favorite teachers, and he has had a tremendous influence on our students. Can you share a personal experience of positive outcomes resulting from giving and from contributions in the past?
There are many things that we absolutely love, but one of the things we love has been the expansion of the collection with the Overton Memorial Library. The library is in some ways integral to our work because of the research, the academic part. Never would I put a book up against a soul, but the books are important to us, and we've seen that expand in fine ways. Then we've seen our students be able to have additional experience with mission trips stateside and international. And so many of those would be absolutely impossible without kind donors being so good to us. And virtually every one of those endeavors leads to souls being saved the very week of the campaign or the week of the mission trip, but also the spillover effect of seed sown and God blessing with increase later.
Well, I know you've been with us. I've been here quite a few years. You've been 25 or how many?
Yes.
25 years that Dr. Bajans has been with us. In that time, could you tell us about one of your favorite memories of the time, something that stands out in your memory as special as your time here?
If I just stayed current with favorite memories, it would be really easy. Sitting at home a few Saturdays ago, phone rings. It's student Chris Olive. We start every class with prayer. We've been praying for some Bible studies he had going. Sent a beautiful picture of the 4 people he'd baptized into Christ earlier that evening. We were leading into prayer the next week on Tuesday for the graduate class, mentioned that, and Jeff Johnson said, we also had a baptism in Conyers, Georgia this Sunday, and what a sweet opportunity. Then this semester, Preston Riley. Preston told us in class one day, pray for me. This Sunday will be the first sermon I've ever preached. And he did that, endured it, overcame, survived, all of those good things. And a few weeks later, he's preaching at Florence Boulevard on a Sunday evening to a crowd stunningly larger than his first, but just to see that victory. And then to find so many of our students adept at writing. And Brother Overton taught us this many years ago, that you write, it'll go places you can't go, it'll reach people you can't reach, it'll last longer than your voice or life might ever hold out. And we right now have some students and alumni who are just absolutely outstanding writers, some of whom are doing their own books and some of whom are doing chapters in books. And all of that is just blessing the church at a very high level.
I think that's kind of the heart of everybody here, is watching our students mature and then go out and do great work. It is fun to watch them as they come to us and they've never preached a sermon before, they've never taken part in whatever ministry opportunities afforded to them, and then they do. I think that really is the heart of everybody that's here. In your words, Dr. Bajans, could you tell us why should somebody give to Heritage Christian University?
I love bang for buck. I love effectiveness of dollars donated. I know it's up to the Lord how things play out, and the Lord can take our little and do much. But we're about as efficient as it gets in terms of overhead, in terms of money going directly into the training of missionaries, teachers, preachers, evangelists, those who lead schools and do orphan care. The variety of the work is fun. Seeing people combine those things into very effective ministries, especially in developing nations, where you feed folks, you care for children who would otherwise be thrown to the wolves and trafficked, and instead they're brought up in the nurture admonition of the Lord. And to see those kids being baptized into Christ, and then a number of them moving forward to become evangelists. The number of our graduates who work in or have started schools of evangelism in their native countries. I think about how effective Neil Imperato is with that in the Philippines, and what a blessing to think of Philip Hendricks in South Africa, and to think about Steve Worley doing outstanding work in Jos, Nigeria, and just how many multiplications we get to see.
How do you think that the sense of community is strengthened by the support of the donors, both within the university and beyond?
We love the fact that a number of our donors come here to check us out before they donate. And I would recommend that to every donor. We run an open door policy. When classes are in session, you don't need an appointment. You want to come sit in one of my classes, you tell Barbara at the front desk, I'd like to sit in Bill's class this morning, and she shows you to room 9, and you're seated and welcomed, and we're glad you are there. I just love the fact of our donors visiting and hearing stories from students and faculty staff. What's going on in your life? Can you tell me about your latest ministry and evangelism experience? We're sitting in the Franklin Auditorium, and one of the things that Hassel Franklin loved better than anything on the planet was hearing students tell him how his gift was making a difference in their ministry. And we just wish all our donors would come check us out, visit with us, know who we are at the core.
Well, going right along with how that makes a difference not only in the students' life but in the lives of the staff and faculty, how would you think that faculty can not only contribute, but how do you think they benefit from the funds that are raised in our giving day, and how do you feel fulfilled in your work at Heritage Christian University?
Now, I wouldn't be dishonest with you. It's kind of cool being paid and, keeping the lights burning at home, but there's so much more to it than that. As you know, our faculty members get to write. Nobody writes better on campus than Dr. Gallagher, and he does a world of that in addition to his regular ministry teaching jobs here. And those things, whether the Berean series or other series in which he writes, are blessing congregations here and abroad. Love the fact that Dr. Barrier's been able to do a sabbatical and actually visit sites to do hands-on eyewitness research to biblical lands, biblical happenings. People have been to everything from archaeological digs onward. It doesn't make the Bible more true. It was born true, but it gives us a more energetic, passionate, real version of being able to teach that with great heart.
The learning environment here at Heritage Christian University, how is that directly impacted by our donors?
One of the ways it's impacted directly by donors would be the student-teacher ratio, which is about 6-to-1, which is just absolutely outstanding. We know that not all teaching happens in the classroom. The things that go on in the hallways, in the cafeteria, in the library, in home visits and such like, they're priceless. And then that goes both ways. We get to teach extra in those settings, and then our students often teach us. One of the coolest things would be students calling back or dropping a line saying, "Used something I learned in your class, and it helped me today to build a closer bond with my elders." Or it helped us at the congregation to solve a conflict. Or it turned the key. We had this Bible study that was stuck, and all of a sudden it's not stuck. Instead of stuck, 2 new Christians.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us before our time's completely spent?
It's just a joy to be able to be front line in God's work. And we consider our donors front line. A number of our donors actually make mission trips with faculty staff, so we love that. Even if you can't make those, a number of our donors invite faculty, staff, students to home congregation to say, "This is what I'm supporting. Would you like to join me in that?" And we always welcome those opportunities to be shared abroad.
Well, I love that heart and I love that spirit. I think that is absolutely true that we do ministry at Heritage Christian University, and we train people to do ministry. Dr. Bajents, he's going to be involved in ministry somewhere, and whatever congregation he's at, and also teach ministry here. So I appreciate the dedication that you've had to the work here at Heritage and what it has meant to me. I've had his classes before myself. I don't know what it means to so many others. Another one of my favorite people in the world, Michelle Thompson, is up next, and she's going to be interviewed by JT. Again, thank you so much. Let me remind you, please, to like and to share so that we can get the viewership up. What we're doing here today is really important because what we do here is very important every day. And so, again, let me thank you so much and tell you to please share. We'll throw it over to JT.
If you're just now joining us today for the first time, you are here taking part with us in what we call Mission Monday. It is an opportunity for people to be able to give to the school, and our donors are so important to us, but our students are important to us. We would not have a school without the students, and one of the students former student that we have this morning is Michelle Thompson. Michelle is one of those few people that came in when it was International Bible College and then received her degree when it was Heritage Christian University. And Michelle, I know you are the Director of Financial Aid, and you have helped untold numbers of people to kind of guide their paths. And tell us a little bit about your life, your background of how you got here and began here as a staff person, and then and what's special to you about the school?
Well, JT, I was raised in the church, and so my religion was basically piggybacked off of my parents' religion. And as I grew older, there was a sense that kept coming up that I needed to make Christianity my own. And so I began to pray about knowing more about the scriptures. And 22 years later, I had my own family. We had moved here from San Diego, moved here to Alabama. And where we were worshiping, David Underwood came in and invited the congregation to come to a benefit dinner here on campus. And so we came to the benefit dinner, and this is where I learned about this university and learned about the purpose and what they do. And I remember sitting there thinking, God in his own time had answered my prayer, because this was exactly what I had been looking for. And I think the very next semester I enrolled as a student.
That's awesome. And you mentioned David Underwood. I had David Underwood as an instructor while I was here. He was one of my favorites as well. There were many others, Brother Overton and others. But one thing that people may not know about David Underwood is he was a great ping pong player.
No, I didn't know that.
He was hard to beat. Tell us what you do in connection with the students when a student comes to you and they're looking, that they have been recruited by admissions and they come to you for guidance. Tell us just a moment how you guide them through that process.
Well, one of the first things that I try to do is talk to the student and find out what kind of situation they're in. And that's one thing I wanted to say about the donations that come to Heritage Christian University. Since I am the Director of Financial Aid, I've discovered over the years, and I've been doing it for a long time, that the purchasing power of the Pell Grant is slowly dwindling. Like years ago, the Pell Grant probably covered about 80% of the cost of attendance here, well, the tuition and fees for the student. And nowadays, because of the costs, the increasing costs of the cost of college, the Pell Grant now only covers somewhere around 30% of the student's total cost. And so that's where our donors come in. What they do is they pretty much fill the gap for the students and make it possible for them to attend. And so what I do is I try to determine where the student is financially, what kind of support they have. Is it from family? Is it from churches? Things like that. And then we try to match them up with the best scholarship that will benefit the student the most and help them to fulfill their dream of becoming, going into the ministry.
Michelle, have you found in your experience and your position that the average student that comes to us, they're probably not a student with great financial means in their background, correct?
Well, I would say that, yeah, I guess that is true. A lot of the students are in need of the scholarships that we offer. Matter of fact, I believe that is what draws them to Heritage Christian University, because in all the years that I've worked here, I don't think there's any student that has not received some type of scholarship from the university so that they're able to enroll and finish their degree.
Some of our students are able to receive up to 100% of their tuition paid, which enables them to keep from being burdened with debt. One of the things that we've tried to do through the years, as you know, is to prevent some of our students from needing to borrow money. Student loans is a wonderful thing. When you need them, it serves the purpose. But students can become so weighed down in debt afterwards that they spend years repaying hundreds of dollars a month if they borrow enough money, and that hurts them in their life, their family life, their mission that they have in going into a mission field. And so you've done a great job helping those students to navigate, if possible, to stay away from those loans.
Yes.
I know that back in, I think it was the years 2012, 2013, we noticed that some of our students collectively at that time had borrowed over $251,000 in student loans, and we just said that cannot happen. And so we got busy and started providing these scholarships, and with your assistance, I think up to a couple of years ago, I think the collective number was something like $12,000 plus.
Yes, that's right.
Last year, our graduating class, entire graduating class graduated without owing student loans. So you're an important part of that, and those who donate, those of you who donate are such an important part of that, because you giving to the school to enable our students to not have to endure those student loans. And I look at it as an investment. I know you do as well, that when someone gives to the school and to a student, they're making an investment in them. I know that of all the years that you've been here, you've had to have had some favorable moments, a lot of good fond moments, a lot of laughter, maybe a lot of crying, a lot of other things, but sharing with our students. But can you name just a few of the things that stand out about the school itself, both as a student and as a staff member?
Oh, man, I have so many memories of this university. When I first became a student, I'm thinking about, like I mentioned before, David Underwood, his wife, Myra. I think about the Overtons and Donna Payne and just all those people that were here when I first started as a student. I think about some of my favorite classmates like Mark Wills. He was just the most fantastic guy. He lost his battle with cancer. I think about another friend of mine, Cassie Martin. She's gone on to her reward too, but we went on campaign together to Barbados, and it was so funny because whenever we walked on the beach, she had to wear socks because she didn't like the feel of the sand in her feet. I think about Basil Overton. I know a lot of people talk about, he says, I love what I'm doing because I don't know what I'm doing, but he also used to say, he would say, I suspect that when you get to heaven, that you'll see a lot of people there that you didn't expect to see. And then he would kind of like pause there for a moment and let that kind of sink in. And then he would say, I hope you stay anyway. And it was always just so funny. And it made me think about that we never give up thinking that that person will never obey the gospel, or, and so we pass by them. But it's like he said, when we get to heaven, there may be people there that we never expected to see, possibly because we prejudged them.
Absolutely. And by the way, Brother Overton was another one of my favorites. I feel so blessed to be able to sit at his feet. And sometimes he would give us this big story, and he would say, now put that in your old Bowden box. And he had some great sayings, and he was the kind that could relate to people who had their doctorate degree, or people like me who didn't have a whole lot of education when I came here. Anything else you want to tell us about the school, or maybe something I haven't asked you, that something stands out to you about how important the school is, and the future as well, of where do we go from here?
Well, I think that I would like to say that I know we always talk about real world ministry here. And one of the things that stood out to me is that in my mind, that real world ministry is where the school pairs knowledge and experience together. And so when I say knowledge, I mean the knowledge that I got here is like the intellectual understanding of the scripture, rightly dividing the word and things like that. And then the experience was with real life. You know, it was just real life. Getting out there and meeting people and seeing the lives that they live. And then also finding out that worldwide people are still receptive to the gospel. And so if you ever considered giving to the university, keep that in mind. We have students who want to go out and reach these people. And Heritage Christian University will equip these students to do that. We've been equipping students for many years because there are people out there who are receptive to the gospel, and our students are willing and capable of taking the gospel out to those people. Donations to the school make the university accessible to students who otherwise wouldn't be able to come. And so we definitely appreciate all that you give to the university.
Michelle, I appreciate you so much, what you do for the school and your long-time commitment to it, and we hope for a long time to come. And I hope and pray that as we move forward, God will continue to bless us. I think one of the things that speaks well of the school is that we have faculty and staff members who contribute financially to the school. And we want, even on this day of giving, for more and more of our faculty and staff to be able to give because they believe in the cause. Many people who are here could be somewhere else, but they're here because of our mission. I hope that you're enjoying these interviews with some of our former students. The next former student that will be interviewed is one of our students who was from the Heritage Christian grads, and his name is Justin Ewan, and Travis Harmon is going to interview him and tell us some of the thoughts that he has about what we're doing and talk about some memorable moments.
Yeah, I am here with Justin, and Justin, it is funny, I keep saying one of my favorite people, but Justin's one of my favorite people too. Absolute hero. I want to be like Justin when I grow up. Justin's doing a great work down at Double Springs, and he is an 06 grad of Heritage Christian University. Has just been doing a phenomenal work down in Double Springs. And you've been down there for?
Started year number 20.
20 years at that great congregation, doing a great work as a minister. And I just appreciate his dedication to ministry and the decision that he made to come to Heritage Christian University to not only give his life to Christ as a Christian, but to give his life in service to Christ as a minister. Justin, what was it in you that made you decide to come to Heritage?
Well, I had a lot of people in my life that were in local work that encouraged me to do so. Starting with my granddad. He preached for nearly 50 years and primarily small congregations around Marion County, Fayette County, Alabama. And he invited me to preach when I was about 15 years old and got involved with that. In our local church, the Winfield congregation, are a lot of connections back to the school. A lot of graduates have come from there. I think one time I sat down with Rebecca Harrison. I think we came up with something like 9 connections from Winfield to here. Board members, students, people who have audited classes, all kinds of things. James Wires was heavily influential on us and encouraging us to consider local ministry. Larry Davenport was another in getting us up here. I guess it really started with Larry taking us to the Highland Park Church of Christ, and it was then IBC, and Dr. Guy offered his homiletics class on like a Tuesday night or something, and we went to that class, and we received credit at the school as a result of that, and from that point forward, I knew what I wanted to do, and that would be involved in a local church in some capacity as a minister or youth minister, whatever doors opened for me.
Justin also, not only did he graduate from the school and get involved in ministry, but he came back to work for the school as an adjunct faculty member and teaches for us. Justin, what is it in you that made you want to do that, and what was that decision?
Well, I was talking with Ted Burleson one day, and there was a class that he was slated to teach. He had too many on his plate, and said, "Would you consider doing this?" And got in touch with Dr. Bajents, and it just kind of went from there. It was supposed to have been a one-semester deal, and that was 10 years ago. So we've kind of been involved ever since. But I look at it like this. There are a lot of great teachers we've heard talked about today. Dr. Bajents, Jerry Davidson, Jim Smill, Coy Roper, and all those guys that were in that, that from 2000 to 2010-ish era of the school that were great. I mean, Stephen Guy, heavily influential on me. And I look at it as an opportunity not only to further the mission of the school, but also to kind of pay it forward. Somebody's got to be that next group of people to help train ministers and be involved in a classroom setting. And when I taught that first class, I was really nervous. First day, it was one of the students said, "Are you sure you're supposed to be here?" And I said, "Yeah," and kind of joking with me, giving me a hard time. It kind of got me relaxed a little bit, and just fell in love with it. And of course, I've always loved what the school does and what we're about.
Yeah, I think it seems to me that all of us sort of feel that way, that the influence that we have on the next generation is just so important. Our donors, how does support that comes into Heritage Christian University, how does it make a difference?
Oh, lots of ways. Number one, you're investing in the future of the Lord's church. Now, I understand a lot of our students, like when you and I were students here, they're already involved in local churches. I understand that, but you never know when the person you're investing in might be your minister. The Double Springs Church has had two of us that have served the school, served the church, that were graduates of the school, and you're investing in the future. Also, and Michelle touched on this. This is huge. A lot of people come out of Christian education owing a lot of student loans, and that's a huge burden. And to hear that we are lowering the impacts of student loans on our graduates, that's huge. And so you're allowing an opportunity for a minister to start a local work somewhere. He may not have been able to start there because of financial reasons. And so you're helping ministers and helping them financially to get the right start as they begin their local works.
The work in school, I think, is just incredibly important. And as you come from a background where you've had you've had several different experiences in education. From the student perspective, could you tell me what's different about Heritage? What makes us unique? And so when those donors support the work at Heritage Christian University, what's different here from the student perspective?
Okay. Well, I think the first thing I noticed when I came here was the opportunity to take what you learn in the classroom on Monday and immediately apply it. When I transferred here, you were involved in this, another individual was involved with this, got me an opportunity to serve in a local church. And, to be able to use that ministry experience, really not as an intern, you're on staff, you're one of the ministers, and there I was 19 years old and expected to do what I was expected to do. And had I not had the resources at the school and guiding me through that, mentoring me through that, and helping me. Same thing when I moved to Double Springs, I was still a student here, and being able to use immediately what I was able to learn and to help people, to see how it goes from classroom to congregation. I think the biblical emphasis, the rooting in Scripture, ministry comes. There are great ministry classes here, still were then, but that emphasis on Scripture and rooting us in Scripture and helping us understand, you can't teach what you don't know. And I remember the first time I sat in one of Jim Smill's classes, I thought, man, I have heard more Bible today than I've heard in the previous 2-3 semesters. But that helped me, though, to see, hey, when you come here, we have an emphasis on being effective communicators of the gospel, and that starts with a solid biblical emphasis.
Over the last few years, I'd talked to Well, I mentioned to Dwayne the tagline that we use, real world ministry. And over the last few years, we've kind of, we've almost wanted to change that. And we just, I think our alumni and the students, it really resonates with them. And what is real world ministry? And when we say that, what does that mean to you?
I think that has to do with being able to connect to people. You can go in your study and get up in the pulpit and preach and go back to your study, but that's not real world ministry. Real world ministry is being involved in people's lives, being involved in the life of your community. Tiffany and I have lived in Double Springs now for 20 years, and we've gotten to know a lot of people and tried to be that influence, and knowing how to take the gospel and communicate it day to day. Whether you're at the school, I drive a bus on occasion. I got a bus load of kids, and I'm driving them wherever they've got to go home. And those are opportunities. That's real world ministry, when you're involved in other people's lives, and you're that ambassador for Christ, 2 Corinthians 5:20. And the school just puts that emphasis on, how can I be that person that represents Christ wherever I am?
Could you... Yeah, we love hearing those stories about ministry success and those little wins that you get, and sometimes they're huge wins. Could you tell me about a time in your ministry where you feel like maybe the education that you received here really benefited you, or some great thing that because you were able to become a ministry and you went through the school and it put you in the position where you were able to have one of those ministry successes?
Sure. Yeah, I look back upon the youth ministry side of things that I've done over the years, and I think really a couple of things. Number one, seeing those young people. Of course, it starts with their parents, but allowing us as a youth minister and the church to be a resource in those young people's lives. And I see, one of our guys now, he's a youth deacon here in the Shoals, and I see them serving in all kinds of capacities. And I look at those and I think, maybe something I learned here helped me to communicate with them when they were in those formative years, and perhaps had a small influence in some way. And seeing young people thrive and seeing them go on, and we throw around statistics, so many percent of young people, they're not faithful, and then I see a large percentage of these kids going on and doing great things for the Lord. And I think secondly, when it comes to baptizing people, and I think baptizing my own son, that was the hardest Bible study I've ever had, and sitting down with him and saying, all right, here's the gospel, and just laying it out there, and trying to, tell myself as I was walking through that, how can I communicate this to him? And I think Heritage helped me do that, not only with him, but other people as well. And on the mission field, going to Burma with the barriers, we made several trips with them. You'll be asked a Bible question, and you have an answer for it, and you don't remember where you learned that, but you learned it, and most likely you learned it here.
Right. Could you tell me, is there a favorite memory that you have of your time here as a, maybe we could almost do this one as a two-part, not only your time as a faculty member here, but your time as a student here?
Yeah, I guess as a student, it goes back to campaigns. I mean, I know several of us have mentioned campaigns. Those were special times as students to go and to build those relationships. But I remember we went to Macomb, Mississippi, and we went and knocked doors and there with the local minister here who was preaching, I believe at maybe Petersville, or I can't remember exactly where he was preaching at the time. Chisholm Hills, I swear, Chisholm Hills. And going and having Bible studies with people and seeing people obey the gospel as a result of that work, and also seeing, I feel like we were kind of a shot in the arm for that congregation. Katrina had just happened, so there was some damage there. We helped with that, and I just remember that campaign, that specific one, I just remember so fondly. A close second would be one that my granddad went on. And it was my first campaign, and I invited him to go with us, and we worked it out with the school with Brother Davidson, and he went with us. And Tiffany and I, we had just gotten married, and we worked with a church up around the Murfreesboro area, and getting to go on a campaign with him. He was special, and getting to do that. As faculty, I guess similar to what I said earlier, there's not really one moment, but seeing students thrive. You want to see them do well. And it doesn't necessarily mean making an A in a class, but it means going into a local church or other opportunities that are afforded them and seeing them do well. Because they are, I understand we represent Christ, but they are the face of the school. And seeing our students do the things that they do, man, we have just some great students, a lot of talent, and the future's bright for the Lord's church.
Yeah, I think at some point I realized, I may not be the next Charles Coyle, but maybe I can have some little part of influence in that guy that's coming up. Really, I really want to ask you one other question. As we used to talk about a ministry shortage or a shortage of ministers, and I don't want people to get the idea that all we do is train ministers or train preachers. So that's not all we do. As a matter of fact, I think that what we do is really broad. Michelle Thompson, she's way too humble to tell you all the things that she's involved in, but she's been a world evangelist and working with different programs, and so there's a lot of different ways that we do and that we train and that people do ministry. But I really do think that there is there's a shortage of people who have chose ministry as a vocation, and I before we close out this segment, I'd really like to get your input on that, on what you think. Is that true? Is it true that there is a shortage of ministers in the Brotherhood?
My impression is yes, but I do see, especially with Gen Z, next group coming along, you see a generation of young people they have a heart for serving and they have a heart for people, and we as the Lord's church, we have to tap into that. And what a great resource we have here in North Alabama at Heritage Christian University to connect them to, number one, a world-class education. You will not find a better education than right here. And not only to get them a great education that may open some doors for them in local work, and like Dwayne talked about earlier, some school system things and counseling opportunities, and so I think there is that. But I also think that there is an opportunity, and you're seeing more and more younger students. That's the one thing I noticed as faculty. I was 21. I was a young student on campus, and so now we have more of the college age age group of students, and I think that you see a willingness to come and serve the Lord and serve His church, and I think Heritage is having a great part in helping perhaps solve that issue and solve that problem.
Well, we're always going to need people trained to do ministry. And I think, if there is a shortage, then we need to be here.
Yeah,
and if there's not a shortage, then we need to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the donation that you make today, as we're doing our giving day today, the donation that you make directly affects that cause.
It's not just a donation; it's an investment.
I love that. Yeah,
it's an investment in the Lord's church.
Not only is it an investment in that individual and their ministry and the work that we do here, but in the Lord's church.
Absolutely.
And I think that those, I need you to pray that the Lord's going to send forth laborers into the vineyard, but somebody's going to be there to teach them how to use the sickle too. So appreciate so much the donations that are coming in. We're right around 12,000 right now, the last report I got. I want to remind you of a couple things. One, our benefit dinner, the Heritage event's coming up August 24th. This year. And this year we've signed Ricky Skaggs and his Kentucky Thunder Band. And so Ricky Skaggs and the Kentucky Thunder, they are going to be with us again on August 24th. And our tickets are going to go on sale December 1st. So if that interests you, it's a great way to support the school, but also you get to be part of a wonderful evening. And so let me encourage you. He is a 15-time Grammy Award winner. He has been Vocalist of the Year. That's going to be an outstanding show. It's going to be an outstanding night. So let me encourage you to get ready to get your tickets. Don't back off from giving from today for whatever you're thinking about giving today. We need that donation. But also be ready December 1st to buy those tickets. It makes a great gift. Also makes a great gift if you want one of the coffee mugs. And you know what? I think that we're selling those coffee mugs too cheap. I tell you what, let's do. I'm off script here, but Justin's going to sign a coffee mug, and we're going to sell this one's $100. I want You autograph a coffee mug.
Am I making the $100 bucks? Okay.
Well, you have to
donating?
donate it.
Oh, okay, I'm good with that. I can do that.
So I think the coffee mug, we're selling if you want an IBC coffee mug, or if you want a Heritage Christian University coffee mug, we're selling those, a $25 gift. We'll get you a coffee mug, and if you do $35, you get both. But if you want one signed by Justin Guin, it's going to be $100, and if you want one signed by me, it's going to be $100, and we'll see which one sells fastest. It has been absolutely wonderful to be able to share this time live with you. Again, let me encourage you, as the posts pop up, we would appreciate that you share those and that you like those. That's going to increase the viewership, which will increase our donations. We really appreciate so much the effort, and I know it is effort, not only by the students that they come and that they give their life to vocational ministry, but also the staff and the faculty that work here and the sacrifices that they make. But we appreciate the effort that our donors make, and we realize that the reason we're here is because of you, and we can't be here without you. It is absolutely vital to our mission that we have your support. And so as we set our goal to raise $55,000 today, we appreciate so much any contribution that you make toward that goal. And it absolutely helps us, and it absolutely is an investment in the Lord's church. And we thank you so much, and we appreciate all of the work that you do. And we would pray that you would be able to support us, and I would ask that you would like and subscribe and share. And thank you so much for joining with us as we've gone through these interviews. There's going to be more posts that come throughout the day. This is going to end our live broadcast for right now. But again, thank you so much for joining us and for watching.